Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again, but this time for a DC comic review of the Batman Day kind. And my goodness, it is going to be interesting to give the review on this. And I will be able to give you the cover review for this first one on the left hand side, which is a 6.5 out of 10. It's somewhat connects to something that happens inside this particular issue, and I'll begin straight away in moving into that one. I'd also like to give a big thanks to King's Comics, who sent these comics out to me, and to let you know that there are actually 3 stories in this. One, I felt like it needed more story in the pages, and you'll find out when we get to it. And because of that, it also got a very low score. Now, it's got nothing to do with like how the story was written. I think it's more so in how the story was delivered in this. So let's jump into the first story. And this is some of the art around the first story, and also where it's from, Global City. We've got Brian Azzarello as the writer, Lee Bermejo on colours and cover, and letters by Jared Fletcher. Here we've got some of the beginning of the story, relating itself in regards to Bruce Wayne's parents' death. I'll now jump to another part of the story. I certainly enjoyed the art in this, and I'll be able to let you know how I rated the story and the art, because the way this story comes across, it's very much in a narrative form, as we get to see pretty much Bruce grow up, become the Batman, go up against said villains, even encountering some iconic villains. And finishing off with this one, where we catch up with Bruce and Alfred. For this, I gave the story a 6.5, and I really enjoyed the art, and I gave the art a 7 out of 10. So, thanks very much, Brian Azzarello, for the story. This art, though, somewhat amazing. It could almost work for, I think, maybe some form of rough cartoon story. So, moving on to the next story. And as we can see here, it's called Munin. With, I could see myself butcher that name, but, okay, I'll just show you the people who are working on it. We've got some Kings, some Parks, some Beck, and I'll just pronounce the surname because that's the easiest, Gion. And as we can see, this one actually comes from Korea. And we also get a bit of a background on some of the people who are working on this, and a big thank you very much. And this is some of the beginning of the story. A little bit more of the story. And this is pretty much where we're left off in this story. And if it's one thing I want to point out with this story, it felt too short. And I would have liked to have seen more pages in this. Like, even the Brian Azzarello one, I think got more pages than this. So, for the story rating of what I managed to read of what's in this Batman Day special. I gave it a 5 out of 10, and the same in relation to the art. Nothing against the artist, it's just, or the artist or the writer, it's just, I would have liked to have seen more pages dedicated to this actual story, done by the people who represent Korea in this. And it just feels like it's missing a lot of information that we, the reader, need. Like, even though you can see quite a lot of pictures here and some violence. Right, we can't forget that. There's actually quite a lot of violence in this. Just in this part alone. I really felt ripped off. It's the only way I can put it. I felt ripped off because there should have just been more story in this. Alright, now to move into the third. Now this shows what the title of it is, A Better Tomorrow, and this is from Germany. A bit of information about the people who are working on the story. And if it's one thing I want to point out, I really enjoyed the art in this. I thought the art in this was quite alright. Not as strong as the art that was in the first story. Slightly stronger than what was in the second. A somewhat appearance of a Joker type character, unless it is the actual Joker. But I felt that I got more in that story than what I did in the previous story, to which I gave the story and the art a 6.5 out of 10. Now jumping into the next Batman Day special, the Batman Knightwatch. And as you can see there, we've got Batman, Robin, Damian Wayne, and also Batgirl, and of course the Batmobile. Now this one had 2 stories in it, and I must admit, both were actually fairly enjoyable. So let's get started on the first one. So this is some of the art around the beginning of the story. The story consists of Batman chasing after Clayface. And you see some of the things that Clayface does in this story. We get to see Batman in contact with Barbara Gordon. And surprise, surprise, look who it's meant to appear to be. Really nice. And you do learn one thing about this. It's not Damian Wayne, it's Clayface pretending to be him. And it's really nice. Funny, but nice. And this is where the story ends off. I'll now move to the next story. Oh, by the way, I gave this first story a 7 out of 10 for the story and a 7 out of 10 for the art. So moving into the next story, we've got Barbara Gordon up against Catwoman, Selina Kyle, and we finally catch up with Bruce Wayne in the basement working on some new bat tech. And we've got someone contacting Batman Knightwatch. Things starting to move towards Batman and his next villain. I really enjoyed how this story was done. We start to see Batman using his new bat tech against Mr. Freeze. And last but not least, reaching the end of the story where Mr. Freeze has been beaten. And the bat tech has done its job. For this, I gave the story a 7.5 out of 10, and the art was pretty solid, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. Well, until then, please don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.